Hi, Emma. How are you today, my darling?
I'm very well, thank you. How's it going?
Yeah, really, really good. Well, and very excited to have our guest today, Zakia Rashid. And Zakia has two strings to her bow, as an entrepreneur. So she's been running her marketing company, Hijinks Marketing, for 25 years. Lots of accolades, lots of experience. She's helped to organize TED Talks and lots of exciting things like that. And now her company Mother Ocean Blue, which is educating people about ocean conservation, has really, really taken off. So it's going to be an exciting interview. Zakia, welcome. It's lovely to have you.
Hi guys, how are you?
Really good, really,
We're
really good.
good.
So let's just jump into it. Tell us a bit of your story. What's your background to bring you to where you are today, Zakia?
Oh goodness. My background, child of migrants to the UK and lots of pressure to do well, basically. I was a bit of a black sheep, and I didn't go the normal route for my family peers, if you like.
Sure.
Everyone was expected to be a lawyer or an accountant or a doctor or something. And so when I told my parents I wanted to go to art school and be a designer, they had visions of me sitting on the street corner, drawing sketches of people.
Yeah.
They hadn't got a clue what I meant by, art direction and design and that sort of thing. So yeah, I kind of pushed some boundaries there. And I just fell in love with it. Fell in love with art and design. But yeah.
Wonderful. Well, that's really interesting, isn't it? Because this has been such a theme for us with the podcast. When we talk to women that are successful as entrepreneurs, they've always got a really big why that drives them. And for you, probably your why is partly the love of your design that enabled you to kind of buck the system a little bit. And it's really hard to challenge your cultural beliefs, isn't it, and your familial beliefs, but that takes a big wife to keep you going, doesn't it?
I think it does, but I think it's the why, but it's also trusting my instincts and following them and understanding that it feels so right, it must be right, so pursuing that passion. Wonderful. And allowing myself to do that. And I think that's been quite a theme for me in my life is trusting that inner voice.
Yeah. Amazing. And I'm going to see that I love that. I absolutely love that. And I've been, it took me a long time to trust my inner voice. So for you, how did you kind of tap into it, and why did you trust it from such a with all those challenges?
Oh God, do you know what? I think it was my mum.
Right.
I think my mum used to do this thing whenever we were ill. She would say, what does your tummy tell you that you want, that you need? And so, that's where comfort food for us came in. So she would give us what we needed to sort of to help us, and I do a similar sort of thing with my boys. So when they were growing up, I mean, they're teenagers now, but I've always said, trust what does your tummy voice tell you? It's that little voice inside that you need to trust that. So if you're in a situation where you're not comfortable, like, cyberbullying, all sorts of, unfortunately, my boys haven't been victim to that in too great an extent. Yeah. But I think teaching everyone to trust that little voice inside, I think it's something that we started to lose a little while ago as
so much
in the Western world, if you like.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with you entirely, and that's why I kind of jumped in on that, because it's so lovely to hear you say it. Someone that's been really successful and continuing to have success, to say that, yes, it's my intuition. It's not necessarily following a whole load of processes and things like that. And for us to actually share our gift effectively in the world, I think it's so important that we do that. There's so much pressure out there, isn't there, to, you've got to be on Instagram and post 4 times a day, and you've got to do this and you've got to do that and you've got to do the other. And that just makes us the same as everybody else, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. It's interesting. I was talking to a colleague, a sustainability colleague of mine, and I was questioning whether I was sharing too much of my origin story, if you like. And she said, don't question that, because people want to hear authenticity. And if you speak with an authentic voice, that is you know, people trust your brand,
Totally.
you as a brand in a much more a clear way. I think they just know what they're getting into, you know,
Yes.
and it's, yeah, and if I can lead that, then I'm more than happy to do that, you know.
Yes.
You know, jump on board.
Indeed,
I love
indeed.
that.
Yeah. And
So how, oh,
yeah,
sorry,
sorry, go on,
Felicity,
Emma.
go
No,
on.
no, you go, because I've been so fascinated. I've been dominating the conversation. So go on, Em.
I was just going to say, how did you get to where you are today in the business you're doing today? Because you say you started in arts and very sort of creative, and I know what you're doing now is very creative. But how did that? How, you know, what does that journey look like? How did you navigate that?
Okay, so I knew from very early on that I wanted to be a designer. So at the age of sort of 14, 15, I knew I wanted to be a designer. And then everything that I did from that point onwards was leading, you know, whatever was going to feed that process to get me to where I wanted to be. And so I did the right GCSEs, and I went to the right art school, and then just worked and worked. And there was a lot of graft that went into it, you know. And then when I left university, while a lot of my peers in the same sort of year as me when I left university, they kind of took some time off, like people traveled and did, you know, did various things. But I was determined that I needed to get a job immediately. And so 3 weeks after I left Loughborough Uni, I started my first job, and it was horrible.
Hated it.
But I knew that if I stayed there and got some work, some experience, some good experience under my belt, then it would springboard me on. So I kind of had the longer goal in mind.
Yes.
And I think that's what's always been my been a bit of a theme for me, is knowing where I want to be, and then knowing how to, or figuring out how to get there, really.
Yeah.
And then I went to work for a couple of different companies, and then the last straw for me was when I worked at the PR agency, and I ran the design department, and that's where I won the awards. But they refused to get on board with the whole internet thing.
What?
And it glitched with me so hard. I know, and it just glitched with me so hard. I just thought, okay, this is the time I need to leave and start doing my own thing now. And then Hijinks was born.
Yeah. Amazing. And again, that intuition, isn't it? Because it's interesting. I speaking to a marketing friend of mine last week, and she did a little session for me for my business networking group, and she was saying, you know, video is going to kind of really continue to explode on the internet and and my instinct is it's not, because the people people will still want video, but the degree of video has just, I think people are quite overwhelmed. It takes more of your attention, doesn't it, to just read a text or, you know, a meme. And I think that, well, we'll see. But that's my gut. And I was just trying to illustrate there about, you know, your gut. You have to trust it, don't you? Otherwise, you just end up really missing out, I think.
Yeah, but the other thing to do is while you're yes, you need to trust yourself. You also need to look externally and just be
test the market.
And see what's going on around you. And it's really interesting that you touch on the video point, because I mean, Clubhouse, you know, as we've all said, it's changed so much of our landscape.
Yes.
But I feel that the visual side of things, I see the visual language changing. So if you watch videos that were produced on, say, Facebook or YouTube, even 5 years ago, they're very, very different to what you see now. And I think it's because people's attention spans are just shrinking.
Absolutely.
So there will be some sort of evolution, I'm sure.
Tweaking. Yeah. Amazing.
So tell us about what you're doing now in your business today, what it is that you're actually doing.
Oh, gosh. So for the branding, I've just partnered with a company called Just One, who are a sustainability brand. And what they do is they do pretty much for their clients what I do with Hijinks Marketing and Mother Ocean Blue.
Right.
So they help companies find their their sustainability level, and you know, what kind of area of sustainability do they want to be in, and how do they want to help the world, and how do they get into corp. And so I've added my services onto theirs, so that I can help that process and help, you know, just galvanize it for their clients, really. So that's one thing that's really, really exciting for me. Hijinks marketing, I have to say, COVID hit me hard, and pretty much all but one of my clients put my services on hold because they just didn't know where they were going to be.
Sure.
I think there was a little bit of optimism early on, but by the time we got to the middle of the summer, I think we all knew that there would be a second wave and a second lockdown, and so it really made me have to rethink my services and what I was doing there, and that's when I think I started to concentrate a little bit more on Mother Ocean Blue. And for that is just, I mean, it's just like I said, it's just the interest that I've got, it's just exploded.
It's amazing.
Yeah, my contact list has grown exponentially, and yeah, I'm just really excited for it. Really excited.
Amazing. Well, there's a kind of almost an accidental pivot, isn't there? But you, because it's been an interest of yours, and I love that, you know, you've got out, and because, you know, we met on Clubhouse about 5 weeks ago and we're all new, weren't we?
Yeah.
And just to see your growth on the platform, I think is just wonderful. And, you know, obviously, you know what you're talking about, and it's something that people are really interested in hearing. So I think it's all part of this evolution, isn't it, that's happening. People are focusing on what really is important, aren't they? And think, you know, I
think it's my thought about everything that's happened over the last couple of years really is that, you know, people want to get back to normal, but I really feel that we can't go back to normal. This is our time now to evolve and change and move things forward. You know, our story is never going to, you know, we're always going to be saying the same thing, doing the same thing, unless we take this opportunity to re-enter into the world in a different way, in a more positive way, and in a way that where, you know, where we really are, you know, driving for that level of change.
Indeed. And anyone that's a parent is thinking about what are the effects on the environment, and what kind of planet are we leaving for as a legacy, aren't it? So I'm really glad, you know, there's been lots of gifts in the pandemic, and to reset and make us rethink, I think is so valuable, and what you're doing is helping that us sustain that thinking. So tell us a little bit more about Mother Ocean Blue, as we're talking about it in general, but give us some details, Zakia.
And also, Zakia, where you got the name, because I love the story around the name. And I know people are listening are going to be asking that same question for themselves.
Okay, so I got divorced a few years ago, 5 years in June this year, and when I qualified as a diver on my honeymoon, and I realized that when I got divorced that I hadn't dived. I loved diving. I mean, honestly, when I got into the water, that first try dive that I did, it was like all the cells in my body just came alive, and there was, you know, it was, I just entered. I hadn't just entered a new world. So basically, what happened was, I took that first year after being divorced. I took that as my opportunity to just rediscover some things. And also I was forced to spend time away from my boys. So I needed to do something that was, I mean, not to have any kind of, you know, it's not a deliberate pun, but to immerse myself into. Diving was it. And so I got my advanced PADI, and I realised after the first year I dived 85 times.
Wow.
And while I was sharing images on Instagram, I was also learning about the problems faced by the ocean. Because the landscape changed in the ocean for me. So what I was seeing when I qualified in 2003 was very what I was seeing in 2017. So that's what started me on the journey. That's what, you know, I started to look into that. And when I saw the problems that were being faced by the ocean, and also there was the Greta Thunberg climate strikes, So these students were, they were demonstrating, leaving school and demonstrating that actually, we are not happy. Millions of kids around the world, and that was such a powerful moment. It was incredible. I really felt that quite deeply. And so all of this was kind of swimming around in my head, and I just felt, and I can't put it any other way other than I felt a calling in a way. I would imagine it's the same as, you get, people become nuns and, priests. But I really felt like I needed to do something. I was never going to save the world by designing someone's logo. I was never going to save the world by designing a great bit of, literature or designing a great website. That was never going to happen. What could I do? What was my legacy going to be?
Great question.
Yeah. So, and I'm a mother. The solution that I was going to come up with was obviously all around the ocean, because although people's roots are in Africa, our ultimate roots are in the ocean. And for our biological beginnings, we started off as chemicals. We're made of stardust. That whole thing.
Yes.
And so, obviously taking all of that apart, and then I just thought, okay, if these students are out there every Friday marching through the streets saying that they want change, okay, and they're saying that you're giving us a world that we're going to inherit and it's so bad. Well, let's give you the tools and the knowledge that you need to inherit this earth and do better. And the way that I wanted to do that was I was shocked that my boys, when they're doing, physics, chemistry, geography, DT, they were doing nothing that was going to really make a difference. The plastic issue that they were learning in geography was somebody else's problem. It was way on the other side of the world. There was a disconnect. And so I want kids that they are absolutely, doesn't matter where you live in the world, you are absolutely connected to the ocean, and everybody has the chance to save the world. I mean, can you imagine telling a 10-year-old that you, little Jimmy or Annie, you are going to save the world, and you can save the world by doing this and this. And if we can instill that in our children at that age,
definitely.
The program design is for ages between 10 and 15. So there's no colouring pages here. There's an exam at the end if you want to do it. But I will teach you, this is why the currents work. And if we continue on our path, the currents will stop. And this is the effect, not just on us, but all the creatures that depend on that current. Polar ice caps are melting, but why are they melting so quickly? How does a coral reef function? And make it into a real, working system. Like cogs in a wheel.
Yes, so they understand.
And something that they can relate to, and then ask them, what's your solution? So right at the end of some of my lessons, what I do is I ask the students to give me create a machine, for example. There are rules though. It can be anything, but the rules are no magic,
right? Okay.
And no time travel. Okay. So this is a real, it can be anything you want. It can be as sci-fi as you want, but make something that's going to fix, say, this problem. And I've had things like plastic magnets come through, and
wow.
And it's and when
you get so creative.
Kids are so creative, aren't they? It's some of the things that my boys have come up with, machine, like they were drawing Santa machines that would be able to pop out gifts and drop, drop gifts down chimneys, and and breaking up Lego and making it into something else. And if they can do that, why can't we teach them that they can take that and put it into
and apply it?
They're so practical, aren't they, kids? They don't overthink it like we do as adults.
Oh my God, Emma, you've just said a million there. We do. That's what we do. So I want to seed all those kids.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
What an amazing intention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I get so enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
We love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just really feel like pressured. I feel like we're really up against, you know, the clock on
the time. Yeah.
Mm.
And I do wake up in the middle of the night worrying about it.
Right. Well, that as you say, that's clearly a calling, isn't it? Because it's your passion and it's the thing that's compelling you at the moment. So other than that, what are the kind of habits that you have on a daily basis that keep you going forward? Because, you know, and I think there's a big problem, particularly at the moment with people's mental health, where people are feeling overwhelmed and they're feeling like, you know, what's the point and how, you know, how can I make a difference? So what keeps you on track, Zakia?
Oh gosh, I think self-awareness, first of all. You know, I've had a terrible start to my year. We've lost, as a family, and you know, the three of us, we've lost a number of people this year already. We had to say goodbye to one of our cats, and so emotionally this year, even in the, you know, it's just been 2 months, but it's just been so draining. And I think I got to the point where I just had to recognize that I needed some time away. And so I think I was sitting here working and it had been 2 hours and I hadn't done anything. So I just thought, rather than put that pressure on myself,
yes,
I'm going to take some time away. And so I gave myself a few days to do nothing. And yeah, and so and that's when I would reach out to my support network. So I think my support network is absolutely vital, and I think for anyone, you know, it's my girlfriends who got me through the divorce, and my family, and they're the ones that I reach out to just say, do you know something, I'm just having a really bad day, and just to vocalize it and just accept it. It's not a weakness.
No, absolutely.
It's and I think that that's still a problem, though. You know, Felicity, I think it's just still, people have a problem saying that they're not, you know, 100%. What, I didn't say. But it's okay to say that.
Yes.
And so I try to do that for myself, basically, and just try to recognize when I need to stop, but also to motivate myself, and that's difficult when you work for yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But you've got such a big passion. I mean, it is like going to be world changing, isn't it? So
hopefully,
isn't it? Yeah. No, it will. It will be.
I loved.
Go on.
I love the. I was just going to say, I love the way when we asked you this question, and you sent us your sort of some notes back. And you were saying, I'm a list maker. And I think you referred to that like 3 or 4 times in the one paragraph. It was all about lists. And I love that because I'm a list. I'm always writing things down and ticking them off. And I feel it just lights me up when I can tick something off. When I can tick something off my list.
Well, yeah, but actually, it just to compartmentalize and, oh no.
Sorry, don't worry. You did. You put it to aeroplane. Don't worry. These things happen.
Yeah, so I've got a list for home because, I mean, I'm a single parent, so there's all sorts of things that, you know, I can't delegate anything. It's all on me.
Yeah.
So I've got a home list, I've got a Mother Ocean Blue list, I've got a hijinks list, and then the other list that I've got is friends and family.
Nice.
Who I've spoken to. Who, you know, as soon as something pops into my head, because I don't know about you guys, but my days go like a million miles an hour. And if I don't write it down immediately, that is just in the and I don't know when I'm going to get that back. So if I write it down, then that's a huge thing for me. And then and then, you know, like you said, it's so satisfying to be able to just
get rid of it off the list.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah, completely.
Brilliant.
So what's next for you, Zakia? What are you looking to do moving forwards with your business?
Well, I'm in a little bit of a quandary, really, because I've had so much interest in Mother Ocean Blue that it's literally taking all of my focus. And so I think while things are still quiet over the next couple of months before we open up in the UK to to the rest of the world, I think I want to take this time to act on those new contacts that I've made, and reach out to them, have some new conversations, and see what actual productivity can come out of it. I mean, it's all well and good as being on the Clubhouse and talking and waxing lyrical, but if
absolutely.
things that come out of that, then that's time wasted as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I need to start making some things happen. So I've got lots to talk to I mean, I've just been on LinkedIn and I've connected with a guy who he wants to make he wants to make hydrogen the fuel to use for ships. Ships are awful polluters in the ocean.
Indeed.
For a number of reasons, fuel. But gosh, can you imagine if that could happen? How exciting would that be? And that's all fuel. For the, it's all fuel for the message, for that we can change things, we can move things forward. So, so it's like I said, it's just keeping those conversations going, and
actually the conversation turning into action and partnership and collaboration, isn't it? Very nice.
So that's another to-do list.
Yes, indeed. Brilliant. Well, tell us, we've touched on some of the challenges, what's next, but what are some of the greatest joys that you've found from your work and from Mother Ocean Blue? What's really lit you up and made you think, oh, this is worthwhile?
I think hearing feedback from people, when I give talks to children, when I was able to go into schools and deliver those talks, just seeing the excitement in those kids' faces, they learning about sharks. I mean, I love diving with sharks, and then when you start talking about them to a group of children,
amazing.
Because and the other thing is that I quite like to turn things on their head, like when I start to talk about something that I like to do, and then as a business person, I'm talking to a group of business people, and then they say, well, so what do you do for as a hobby? And I dive with sharks. And you always get a second look.
Of course, yes.
I know. I'm one of.
Are you mad?
I love it. Yeah, I'm one of those. I was going to say, I hear the joys every time I step in the sea. That Jaws theme tune just comes into my head, and I'm a bit like. But my partner, he would love, because my partner's a master diver. He qualified as a diver. He travelled around Australia and used to teach diving. He absolutely loved it. So I'm sure he'd have some amazing conversations with you. He loves it. He's not done it for so long. But he was like you. He said he used to get in the water and he just absolutely just fell in love with it. It was incredible.
Amazing.
And if you know what, if I can bring that to children, absolutely, that excitement and that lack of fear, because that's the other thing about children. They're not scared of anything. You have to learn how to be afraid.
Indeed,
So you just said, Emma, Jaws was made in 1975, and
I know, how crazy.
The effects of it.
I know. I know, it's crazy.
Fact for you. So Peter Benchley, who actually wrote the book that Steven Spielberg then went on to make the movie for, when he realized the negative impact on sharks, he spent the rest of his life campaigning for sharks and working for shark conservation, and he died fighting that fight. And that's when I tell people my shark talk, that's we do all the fluffy stuff, but then when I get to that point, you kind of see people just getting that, having that moment,
Oh, it's amazing.
Brilliant.
You've been fantastic, Zakia. Thank you so much.
No
How inspiring, Felicity.
Totally inspiring. So we'll make sure we put all your links. So particularly, and I know that our listeners, they're going to want to know about Mother Ocean Blue and the workbook, and just I love that you're not just telling, you're engaging and asking the kids. And we don't always do that, do we, with children? It's often you've got to learn this way and just follow it, but to engage like that.
They took to the streets. These were students taking to the streets. you
Yeah,
know,
amazing.
good students, you know, some of
Yeah.
these kids are like A grade, you know, they're not the ones that, oh yeah, it's an excuse to bunk off school. They were really, you know, they're really, really passionate about it. There are
Definitely.
children with mental health issues right now because they are worried about the future.
Yes, I know some of my friends' children. As the lady I connected you with, Jenny, she said her little boys are awake at night worried about it, and that's just tragic, isn't it? It's tragic.
Well, let's give them a fix. Let's give them the tools.
Yes, indeed, indeed. That's why I love what you're doing, because
Control
it also
gives you so much. Control gives you happiness.
Power. It's empowering.
And if you can give someone, if you can tell someone that here are the tools to be able to change that, and they take that and they take ownership of that, then I mean, mentally, it is so powerful.
Yes, indeed. And it's all of us doing our own little bit, isn't it?
Everyone's got to do their part, play their part.
And for the kids to know that they can, I think that's just extraordinary. So thank you for being such an inspiring guest. It's been lovely to have you on Crossroads Cafe today, and we look forward
to having me.
Oh, you're so welcome, and we'll stay connected. We're all connected on Clubhouse, aren't we? So I'll make sure I'm dropping into a room and hearing what you have to say in more detail, Zakia. Thank you again.
Thank you, Zakia. Thank you very much. Take care, ladies. See you soon.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.